Welcome to the Fabulous at 50 podcast, where we are changing the aging narrative. I'm your host, Joanne Newduck, and I'm thrilled to bring you stories that matter and celebrate your place in the world. As an advocate for lifelong learning, health, and women's empowerment, I believe it's never too late to live the life you've always imagined. Through lively and informative interviews with inspiring guests, we'll explore a wide range of topics relevant to our global sisterhood of vibrant, inquiring women just like you. Join me for today's episode, and let's start changing the aging narrative together. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. We have a wonderful show for you today. I have a fascinating guest named Gail Taylor. She is a Canadian songwriter, keynote speaker, author, entrepreneur, and passionate advocate for the power of music to inspire change. Her catalog of 13 published songs draws from her life experiences and imparts invaluable messages, taking center stage in her speaking engagements as well. She is currently penning her second book, Curveballs. Oh, I want to hear all about that. Personal stories and tools to inspire folks to take action in designing their own lives. Well, Gail, you are talking the Fab at 50 language, and I'm so happy that we got introduced and I can welcome you to our show today. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joanne. I'm honored to be here. A
Well,
fellow Albertan.
Yes, I'm so thrilled. When we were we're always messaging back and forth with guests and it's, what time zone are you in? And then when I realized you were in the same time zone, I'm like, where are you? And you're just a 3-hour drive north of where I am. I'm in Calgary and you're up in Edmonton.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
fantastic. Now, I just want to launch this whole talk off with a question that I'm always fascinated with the circuitous route people take to get to a given job they're having, right? Quite often we get out of university and it's just very, you take this course and then you end up, now you take business, you end up in business. But I find that women, especially in midlife, are fascinating creatures. Like, you're a singer-songwriter, he's written a book, entrepreneur, all of that, but that's not where you started off. Like, I don't think you were in grade 4 saying, oh, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Like, where did you start off and how did you get here?
Yeah. So this is actually chapter 2. This is a big shift. So what happened was when I was 58 years old, I started taking piano lessons. I had been
Awesome.
a financial advisor for 23 years. I started taking piano lessons. And Joanne, I had no background in music, none. I had
Really?
never taken a lesson in my life. And so after 2 years of it, all of a sudden music came flooding back into my life. And I was enjoying it so much that I thought, whoa, I'm going to retire a little sooner than I had planned. And I'm going to study music full time. So when I was 61 years old, I retired and I started studying music. It's funny because my husband was teasing me with the friends and saying, "Oh no, she's going to get underfoot with her retiring." And I thought might be a good time to tell him that I plan on studying music full time. So I did
I'm just
that.
fascinated. I just have to interject here. I, as an adult, quite a while ago, though, took piano lessons, but I think at the end of 2 years, I was maybe playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So I am just in awe that at the end of 2 years, obviously this is like a sacred gift that you had kind of sitting latent inside of you. So I love that
No,
this is coming out.
it
I
wasn't
really do.
natural.
I honor it, but I love that you've decided to blossom it. So now you're in full-time studies. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Did you go to
Yeah,
college for it?
but that first 2 years, I was practicing like a minimum of 2 hours a day.
Okay,
I turned after okay, so 2 years of studying, and I'm taking songwriting lessons, ear training, bass guitar, keyboard, I'm just taking all of the different, I'm studying music. And I get to study with places like Berkeley School of Music because they
Wow.
have online programs. And so you don't have to audition, you just have to have the money.
Oh, that's
So 2 years,
fantastic.
I know that I had access to that. I mean, I thought it was so cool. And so 2 years later, I thought, well, I'm going to reinvent myself as a musician.
Hmm. Cool. That's gutsy.
I know. And when I told people that, I kept hearing over and over again, oh my God, that's so inspiring. I'm going to go do bedeep bedeep, something they had put on the
Right.
back burner. And I
Yeah.
heard that so often that I thought, whoa, I'm coming out of retirement. I'm going to start a business, Gail Taylor Music. I'm going to become a keynote speaker and I'm going to use my music and my personal stories to help folks become their best selves. And so
Amazing.
yeah, that's what got me that's what got me here now after 25 years as a financial advisor.
I love it. And you know what? When you talk about it, you light up, right? For those of you listening in podcast land, we also do a YouTube, a video recording. So if you want to just see how much following your passion can light you up, take a look at Gail here. And I love that you said that. So many of my guests, it's it's a similar story. There's a similar theme. They're following different paths, but they have found something else in their life that they're like, this fills me up. Like retiring is just kind of, you're retiring from that first livelihood, that first career. And whether you choose to turn this into a livelihood or into just a passion, it's still something that lights you up, right? So, because the turning it into a business can be a bit daunting. But tell me a bit more. Like, so once you got into that, what was like you're not presenting, you became you're not a singer songwriter, you're a songwriter, and you're doing music. So tell me, how does somebody get into that? Like, who was the first person that said, I'm, I don't know, I'm going to sing your song? Like, I'm curious, the behind the scenes, the other side, the
Yeah,
singer song.
so that
The
yeah, so
singer's
what
a little more
happened,
obvious.
I think what happened there was songwriting ended up being my super talent.
Okay.
And I say it's because I talk so much. And songs are just stories, right, that are turned into lyrics.
Yeah.
So in the process of my studying, I hired a private songwriting teacher tutor out of Nashville.
Okay.
And I still work with her. We co-write a lot of my songs. And so I worked with her. And what happens is I actually co-produce. So what happens is we'll write the song, and then after I've got the song written, we'll do a demo. So if we're doing a demo, it's more often than not she's playing the guitar and she's singing. And
Okay.
I'll tell her if I want the melody to go a different way, what's going on in my brain, how I'd like to see it, or whether I want the song to be slow or fast, or country or rock. So we'll put it together, and then I'll send the demo down to the studio that I work with in Nashville, and I'll tell them what it is. Like, they'll listen to the demo, I'll send them the lyrics, and they have all the musicians. I mean,
Mm.
I've got when I'm not playing the keyboard myself, my keyboard is plays for Tim McGraw, and the bass player tours with Miranda Lambert. Like, these are
Wow.
A-level musicians, right? And
Oh,
it's
I'm
so
so
cool.
impressed.
Oh, it's so cool to have
Did this just kind
access
of
to
blow
them.
your mind as this all came together?
Yeah, yeah. It was just like I was manifesting it, man. I was making it
Yeah, way to
happen.
go.
And then they have a number of vocalists that you can hire,
Okay.
that are doing studio work. So I'll listen to the different vocalists on their platform and pick the one that I think is right for the song.
Okay.
And so now I've also Mallory Trinell, who is my songwriter, co-songwriter. She's in a band called Crimson Calamity. And so she has sung one of my songs. And
Mm.
then I also put out a call for a vocalist for a rock series that I did. and I found a young lady in Ottawa who had that nice raspy voice, so I used
Nice.
her on the songs. And then, yeah,
Nice.
I either go down to Nashville and work with them there, or I get on Zoom with them and give my feedback while we're doing the process, and heck, that's it. They send me up the recording and it's done. Oh, I even used a local song, my very first song. Do you know Danny Hooper?
I don't think I do actually.
He's a fellow Albertan, and he's a country singer, and he's a MC and an auctioneer, and he sang my first song, which is Love for Country Music, and
Oh,
it was a
awesome.
song about my husband and I moving from Ottawa to Alberta and just immediately falling in love with Alberta and with country music.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check him out. I want to hear that song
Cool.
for sure. Hey, Gail, I'm curious because I am really fascinated with this because I know quite a few friends who are singers or singer-songwriters, and I understand their journey. And you've explained quite a bit. Like, they get booked in gigs and they get hired this way, and then it's their music. I'm just trying to fully understand and appreciate sort of, like, because most probably singers out there are not necessarily their own songwriters. So when these people have sung your songs, are you having them sing your song for you and you're creating some kind of album here? Or they've taken the song on and now it's their song and you get credit for writing the song?
The
Does that
first
make
one.
sense? The
Yeah,
first one.
yeah, and it's
Okay.
the first one, and I am an anomaly. I'm definitely an
Okay.
anomaly in how I approach music because
Okay.
I write the songs, I own the songs, and
Okay.
then I hire people to do all the roles within the songs, and then
Okay.
I put it out. My moniker is Gail T as charged.
I love this. Okay, thank you for clarifying that because I was like, this isn't how my paradigm of how a songwriter functions. So, like, way to go for opening that up for people.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that's
sometimes
very cool.
the singer wants to be anonymous,
Oh, okay.
and I just pay them a straight fee. Sometimes they wanna be featured, so I'll go, "Guilty as charged," featuring Mallory Trinell, right?
Got it.
So it depends on whether or not they want the exposure or not, and, or just the financial compensation.
That's amazing. I love it. I definitely encouraging everyone listening, like, go to tell me your website. It
It's gailtaylormusic.com.
.com.
And
Okay.
I'm everywhere. I'm on Spotify, Apple, I
Okay.
have a YouTube channel, so if they go to Gail Taylor Music, they'll be able to find all the links to get everywhere, and they can access the music right from there as well.
Amazing. So,
Mhm.
where are you going with all this? Like, are you like, and what I mean by that is, do you love what you're doing? You're going to keep doing the same and doing new songs, or do you have another vision of where this is leading you? Because I also know you have other aspects. The music is one part of it, but you're now stepping into more of like inspirational speaking and keynote speaking. So where are you headed?
Yeah, so I've been speaking now for 25 years, right? I
Yes.
35. And so I love being on the stage. I don't have enough talent to play live on the stage, but I love being on the stage and I love helping folks level up. My background, I've had experience with addiction, with family addiction. I've worked, I've been a female in a male dominated industry. So I have a
Absolutely.
lot of personal stories to share to help folks with their journey. And so on the big stage, I can tell a personal story and share some peak performance tools, and then play one of my songs in the background on the big screen. There's a video to go with it. Get all the audience up dancing, take them out of their comfort zone a little bit, cause the dopamine to get going. And so yeah, that's where the journey is, and that's where it's going to go for. Well, ask Mick Jagger when we're retiring. At what age do we retire?
I love it.
He'll tell you, or even Ringo, he'll tell you when it's time for me to retire.
I love it. You don't need to retire. Yeah,
No.
you're just following and doing what you're passionate about, which is phenomenal. Okay, so you're out there, you're being a keynote speaker. Organizations can hire you because they want some inspirational speaking going on. That's fantastic. Um, I did notice in your intro that you're penning. I love that penning, typing out. Do you actually use pen and paper to get your ideas down? No. Okay.
Nope.
I love that term though. A new book called Curveballs. So tell me a bit about that, or even start with kind of what was your first book about?
Yeah, so my first book and my career as a financial advisor, I loved it. It wasn't like I just found my first passion and my only passion. I absolutely loved my job and I was very passionate about it. People were surprised when I retired because I just really, really liked what I was doing. And during that course, like I said, I public spoke. At one point in my journey as a financial advisor, I taught for the University of Alberta for the Faculty of Extension, and the course was called Introduction to the Financial Markets. And I
Mm,
couldn't find a book that I wanted to use as a textbook for us to follow through, so I wrote one. And so that was my
you're a
first
real go
book,
getter.
and it
And
was
I
called,
love it.
Yes, You Can Have Your Cake and Eat It Too.
Love it.
And it was a financial planning guide to retirement. It was time sensitive. It was about what was going on in 2000 in the markets and stuff. I was giving
Okay.
real time uh, examples. So, yeah, so that was my first book. And then this one, why I decided to write this one was partly to give me more credibility to be on the stage, especially
Okay.
for the keynote gigs. I hired an entertainment lawyer out of Calgary.
Nice.
And he said, when I talked to him about my journey, he said, write a book. Write a book. It adds to your credibility. It'll be my second one. So I know how. And then the other part of it is sometimes you hear a motivational speaker and you really are pumped up and you walk out of there and say, I'm going after my dreams. But then the next day you feel a little less, well, can I do it? And then the
Yeah.
next day you're, yeah, I can't do it. And you're off into your own. So the purpose of the book is to keep me in your head, to
Keep the
guide you to say,
momentum.
yeah, keep the
Yeah.
motivation, understand the leverage that you need to make, they always say, why do some people succeed and others don't? And I brought it down to follow through,
Yeah. True. There's
right?
follow
So
through.
the
It's like
book is
anything
to
in
help.
business and life. It's the follow up and the follow through,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And deciding that that's a real priority and getting the right support, right? You've got this desire, but when people are like, where do I even begin? So I love I love that you're such really a groundbreaker in the sense of or I don't know, you're like just a real go-getter. It's like you see a need. Okay, I'm not finding the book I want. Well, okay, I'm going to look at me. I'm going to write it. Because what's interesting is when people, and tell me if you've come across this, when people sit there and kind of go, oh, well, that's not me, or like that, as if like doing that kind of work is someone else there, someone special. And I'm going, every single thing that's ever been done out there, every single book that's ever been written out there is just another average person that was willing to say, I'm going to be the one that steps into the spotlight and shares because I want to help somebody.
Yeah, yeah,
And so,
absolutely. I think it's for everybody, and I do come across what you just said, and you use the term, getting the right support, and I say the way you get the right support is by creating the right support.
yes,
Right? You create it. You get it by going out and get it, creating the right
exactly.
support. However you do that, that's on you, right? Because
Yes.
that's one of the sort of pushbacks. Oh, I don't have the resources. Well, go get them. Well,
Yes.
I don't know how to go get them. Well, learn how to go get them. Like, this
Yes.
is not rocket science. Living your best life, I mean, you have 2 choices. For me, the big thing for folks is your internal dialogue. Your internal
Absolutely.
dialogue is everything. You can tell
Absolutely.
yourself that you can do it, you can do it. You can tell yourself you can't do it, you can't do
I know.
it. It's
That's
on you
but that tears
what
apart.
you're
It's true. And I just came off recently supporting a weekend as within the Fabulous Health programs. Belief reparenting is one of the tools I use with my clients in my health practice. And it is all about shifting our internal dialogue, basically. I like to say our computers have software, but they also have an operating system. And when that operating system gets outdated, you can't run new software. So change your operating system. So
right.
change your thought on I can't do this. Well, let's flip it to I can do this, and what do we need to do, and bringing it. So I do help people switch that switch and get to the point where they can take those steps without feeling paralyzing fear sometimes that doesn't serve them anymore. But it's not necessarily for everyone to step out into the limelight, and I don't think either of us are saying y'all have to go and take up music or write a book, but it's like I bet there's something in everybody's life that's listening to this podcast. Just it might be you wanted to take up painting, or you always wanted to learn how to drive a standard car. I don't know, I'm making up stuff, right? I just think it's really inspirational that what you're doing is is saying, find something you enjoy and just go after it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you hit on some really, really good points there, because a lot of folks will say to me, they'll say, "Well, that's easier said than done." And my answer to that is absolutely. You're not gonna wake up tomorrow morning and be able to shift from having negative internal dialogue to be
Oh,
creating your best life. You're not
the
gonna wake up
process.
tomorrow and run a marathon either, right? You gotta train for 18 months. I've been studying
Exactly.
personal growth and peak performance for 40 years. I
Yeah.
started in the 70s with Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And
Amazing.
and so it's not an easy journey. It's a lot of
Hmm.
work. You gotta pretend you're going back to I'm gonna be my best self university, and you're
Yeah.
designing your own courses and you're buying the books. I created this line of jewelry. I've got this pendant on that says
Oh, I
staying
love it.
young. And it's
Staying young.
one of the songs. I wrote a song called Staying Young, and, yeah, for the
Awesome.
listeners, go check it out on YouTube, because it's
Absolutely.
so fun, and it's about our age group, right? And
Yeah.
how there's no age that matters. But what happened
Writing it
with
down.
me, 'cause I had a rough my dad died when I was 12. My
Oh, I'm
mom moved us
sorry.
to the city because, she had to get a job, and there was 6 kids, and she was in her 30s. So I
Wow.
spiraled. I lost it. I went on drugs. I went on alcohol. I had high
Mm.
risk behavior. I was dropped out of school by the time I was 16. So I didn't have my beginning journey wasn't I didn't I wasn't one of those people that didn't miss a beat. That was not me. That was not me. And so when I started on my journey to create the life that I wanted, and this is why I did this, instead of doing t-shirts, I did these pendants to make them a tactile item that you can use if you're in your head. Just, scratch where it's engraved
Hmm.
and say, hey, that's not the thinking I want. Whatever your mantra is, right? For
Exactly.
years, my mantra was garbage in, garbage out. And I actually stole that from an Olympic athlete. So every
Oh,
time I found myself having negative thoughts or limiting, self-defeatist, I would say, garbage in, garbage out. Good when I was in a car and nobody could hear me.
that's a good pattern interrupt, right? Like we
Yeah,
get into a pattern. I like to say,
yeah,
it's you've become a master at we use a whole bunch of different terms, flipping from inner critic to inner coach. I talk about the itty bitty shitty committee, or that broken record that gets going in our head, all of that. What I want from both of us. So if you're listening to this, from both of us, we are telling you we have been there if you're experiencing this, and there are ways out, and some of the ways are sheer determination and latching on to like a like a really cool saying. But both of us obviously have worked within that personal growth field, and there's systems out there. Like I use one system, I use many different systems, but one that works really well. I'm sure you've experienced others. So just reach out for help, like ask people, ask. One of the best ways to, I think, for people to get help is find someone that's doing what you like and let them know and just say, I admire you. I find you inspirational. Like that's a pretty good opening statement. Like, where did you go? What did you do? Listen to podcasts like this so that you can hear the kind of the circuitous route that people are going. So Gail, tell me a little bit more about like your advice. You touched on it just now, but when you want to live their best life, like what do you, is there extra information that you feel people can be doing to live their best life?
Yeah. So, okay. So we've touched already on internal dialogue
Yep.
and passion, right?
Yep.
Passion and purpose. And I'm going to just sort of elaborate a little bit more on the passion and purpose side of it,
Right.
because I really think that it's important for you to be passionate about your career. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of women like in their 50s that are not planning to retire till they're 65. And if they have a dead end job that they hate, then my thought is don't spend the next 15 years of your life
Agreed.
doing that dead end job. We spend 50% of our waking hours at our work. And so to me, whatever you're doing should be putting a bounce in your step, and
Yes.
you should be enjoying what it is, because then it's not work. Then you're just,
Yeah.
I was always excited going to work, and then I was always excited coming home to my husband, because I
Beautiful.
love both of those environments. And
Yes.
so what you love as a job, I might hate. So it's
Absolutely.
not like people say, "No, no, there's nothing out there for me." Yeah, there is, because, well, I'll give you a good example. My son has a job in pest control, and he loves it. He just loves it. He loves talking to the people that are, helping them go through the emotional thing they're going through with having bed bugs in their house, and then he kills them
Yeah.
all off so that they can be happy in their home
He
again,
probably
and
feels like a superhero.
and to me, that would be a nightmare, right? That would not be the job for me, man. I would not be wanting to get out of bed in the morning. So that's what I'm saying, right? There's going to be two people walking down the street beside each other going to get their coffee. They both hate their jobs, but if they were doing each other's jobs, they would love it. Like it's
Yeah.
so go
I'm
look
with
for
you.
something that you're passionate about while you're doing the one you got. Like
I'm with
you'll
you.
find
If
the
I
same
can,
money. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no. Keep going.
I think you'll be able to find the same money and the same
Yeah.
benefits, and you just have to look while you're still working. Don't give up what you have. Just look while you're still working and find.
I
And
see something like that.
sometimes people love their work, but they're in a toxic environment.
That's exactly where I was going to go, Gail. I was going to say the other option that sometimes happens is, yeah, you can love your work, but if you're in a toxic, there's probably another business where you can find. Or
Yeah,
if it's not a toxic, but it's just a drab, shall we say, kind of meh, be the spark, be
yeah,
the person that goes in. So it's not even so much, there is be passionate about the work you're doing and or sorry, like be passionate about the work you're doing, or simply be passionate about the work you're doing. And how I mean that differently is, you were saying he loves his job. I've seen people that have taken their jobs or careers where they were thinking it was like, it's okay. I know I'm good at it. It's maybe not my total passion, but what they did is change their mindset and they just became passionate about going into work and doing their work. They showed passion within the work, and after a period of time, they're like, I'm more passionate about all of this. Like it was, they realized a lot of it was more in their own mindset, and they help raise the vibe, changing the culture of where you are. Like I think that's super important. And I
yeah.
love that that's what you're supporting people to do.
Yeah, that internal context that you have, exactly. You don't have to change the company. I actually experienced something like this when I was as a financial advisor. At the time, I had been in the role for about 15 years. I managed about $80 million, but I was missing something.
Mm,
And I didn't know what it was. And so I hired a business coach and he said, "Okay, what's Gail Taylor all about? What's, your practice all about?" And I said, "Easy. I want to work from now until I retire. I want to make my clients financially independent so that they could retire and have the same lifestyle they have when they work. I want to make myself financial independent so that I can retire and I can go off and I could do philanthropic work and volunteer work and make the
yeah.
world a better place and help folks because that's what I'm wired to do."
Yeah.
And that guy said, "Yeah, Gail, that's not how it works. You don't put your purpose in life on hold until you retire and
Right.
then go do it. You got to find a way to incorporate it into your work now, or you might
Yes.
as well just sell your practice and move on." So I did all these exercises with them and I learned about socially responsible investing,
Yeah.
ESG. And so all of a sudden, I was able to take my traditional practice, change it to a responsible practice, which is the triple bottom line. So now we care about the environment, we care about social issues, we care about governance. We're basically screening out companies that are abusing the planet. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't screen out the oil industry. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. But what I did was I screened out the companies that weren't spending R&D dollars on alternative energy or better methods than tailing ponds, right?
Yes.
On the social side, companies that used sweatshops.
Yeah.
On the governance side, they wouldn't let women on their boards.
Yeah.
So all of a
That is
sudden,
like, oh my gosh, I wish you were still doing that work. You'd have my business.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that
I
is
know. All of a
brilliant.
sudden, I'm
Gail,
shifting.
I love that. And that's the thing is like, and I know people that it's like, okay, the job isn't like my job, but they have something passionate in their life and they realize that their job is good, they're happy, and it's a means to support what they're doing passionate in their life. And I think all of this conversation is basically what is it that's lighting your fire and do it. And if you don't
Yeah,
have something, find it. Right? Like,
and take
so
the risk. Take the
exactly.
risk, right? Because
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna take a haircut. I figured that I would lose at least 20% of my business, maybe go down to, like, 64 million. My clients did not hire me to be a do-gooder. And so even though the returns weren't gonna change because they were conservative portfolios, I really expected to take a big haircut on my income. And the opposite happened. They loved
Yep.
it. They said, "Why didn't you bring this to me sooner?" And
Yes.
then by the time I retired, I was up to 130 million.
That's
So, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, you got taking the risk, understanding there might be a couple of steps back before you go forward. It's worth it.
I love it. I love it. Gail, I'm looking at the time and our time is basically up. But before we leave, kind of quick succession, what are your three top pearls of wisdom to share with everyone today?
Okay, well, I think you got 2 of them with the passion
Yep.
and the
Have a
internal
passion.
chat, and I'm gonna go with the 3rd one as being, uh, time management. And
Okay.
when I use the term time management, when I learned how to, prioritize what's important in my activities versus just going through a to-do list, it changed my life. It was a game
Beautiful.
changer. People always say to me, "When do you sleep?" I sleep 8, 9 hours a night. I don't
Amazing.
but but I don't have stress because I'm always doing something that's important to me and not time sensitive. And
Love
there's
it.
lots of ways to get there. One way is Stephen Covey's book, First Things First. That's a real good one for this area. But yeah, if you can stop getting on the treadmill and get yourself off the treadmill and get yourself so that, every day you can just sort of cruise through your day and enjoy the activity you're doing and not be thinking of the next one, it can really, really change your life.
Beautiful. Okay. So I'm just going to reiterate these. So right now, learn some good time management, priority setting. Okay.
Yep.
Second, find and nurture a passion,
Yep.
right? Of some sort.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the third,
Internal dialogue.
right. And the internal
Internal
dialogue.
dialogue.
And if
Get
you're
rid of
struggling
that.
with it,
Yeah.
yeah,
If you're 80% negative and 20% positive,
flip
change
it.
it to the opposite, but don't expect it to happen overnight. It's going to
Yeah.
take years.
Well,
It'll start overnight, but it's going to
I'll
take
just
years.
say, or you can take a shortcut and work with a practitioner. It can switch in weeks.
Okay.
It can
Okay.
switch
Good
in weeks.
stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, you
I'm
can take
learning
short
from
road.
you.
Yeah. So it's the same type of things, but there's shortcuts to learning.
Okay. Good.
We won't get into all of that now, but if you're interested in learning more, contact me and I will let you know. And please go and visit gailtaylormusic.com and check out the show notes. There's links going to be in there. We loved having you on the show today. And I hope to have you back in the future because you're such a joy to talk with. So
Oh,
take
thank you. And
care,
I love
everyone.
being here, Joanne.
Oh,
This was
awesome.
good.
Awesome. And when you're down in Calgary, we'd love to meet you in person.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice, for sure.
that'll be awesome. Awesome. Take care, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. But before you leave, I'm curious. What pearl of wisdom are you taking away from today's episode? I do hope it held some inspiration or information for you to live your best life. If you are not yet part of our sisterhood, I invite you to join our community by visiting our website, fabulousat50.com, and you'll receive a free copy of our ebook, Make Mine Fabulous, 21 Ways to Energize Your Life. It is packed with loads of tips and tricks. Plus, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review to let us know what you think. Remember, keep choosing fabulous. It's never too late to live the life you deserve. Catch you on the next episode.